Hello, English learners. My name is Hazel.
And I'm Alex. Today, we're diving into another summertime activity, fishing.
That's right, Alex. Fishing is a relaxing and enjoyable pastime for many people.
Exactly. Let's start with some vocabulary you'll hear in today's dialogue.
Vocabulary preview.
Alright, we have two key words to look at. The first word is bait.
Bait. Bait. Bait is something used to attract fish so you can catch them.
That's right. It can be live bait, like worms, or artificial bait, like lures. You attach it to your fishing hook.
Exactly. Now, let's look at our second word, reel.
Reel. Reel. A reel is the device on a fishing rod that helps you wind and unwind the fishing line.
Right. You use the reel to bring the fishing line back in, hopefully with a fish on the end.
That's the goal. Now, let's listen to today's dialogue. What's happening in this scene?
We've got two friends, Hazel and Jenny, who are on a fishing trip at a nearby lake. Let's see what happens. This is so peaceful. I love fishing.
Me too. It's nice to get away from the city. Did you bring the bait?
Yeah, I have some worms and a few lures. Here, pass me that rod.
Sure. Let me just cast my line first. There we go. So, what's the best technique for reeling in?
Well, you want to reel in slowly. Give the fish time to bite.
Got it. Hey, look. I think I've got something.
Great. Keep the line tight and reel it in smoothly.
Wow, it's a big one. What kind of fish is it?
Looks like a bass. Nice catch, Jenny.
Thanks, Hazel. This is so exciting.
Alright, that sounded like a successful fishing trip. Let's take a look at some of the words from the dialogue in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
We have 3 great fishing-related words for you today. The first one is cast.
Cast. Cast. To cast means to throw the fishing line into the water.
Right. You swing the rod and release the line to get the bait into the water. It's an essential fishing skill.
Absolutely. Our next word is lure.
Lure. Lure. A lure is an artificial bait designed to attract fish.
Yes, lures come in different shapes, colors, and sizes to mimic the fish's natural prey.
Exactly. Our last word is bass.
Bass. Bass. A bass is a type of fish commonly found in lakes and rivers.
That's right. Bass are popular among anglers because they're fun to catch and taste good, too.
Let's listen to the dialogue again, then we'll discuss some useful phrases.
This is so peaceful. I love fishing.
Me too. It's nice to get away from the city. Did you bring the bait?
Yeah, I have some worms and a few lures. Here, pass me that rod.
Sure. Let me just cast my line first. There we go. So, what's the best technique for reeling in?
Well, you want to reel in slowly. Give the fish time to bite.
Got it. Hey, look. I think I've got something.
Great. Keep the line tight and reel it in smoothly.
Wow, it's a big one. What kind of fish is it?
Looks like a bass. Nice catch, Jenny.
Thanks, Hazel. This is so exciting.
Alright, now let's take a look at some useful phrases in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
The first phrase we have is pass me that rod.
Pass me that rod. This means to give the fishing rod to someone.
Exactly. You can use pass me with many objects, like pass me that book or pass me the salt.
Very versatile. Next, we have reel it in.
Reel it in. This means to wind the fishing line back onto the reel.
Right. You can also use this phrase metaphorically, like reeling a big deal in business.
Good point. Lastly, we have looks like.
Looks like. This phrase is used to make an observation or assumption.
Yes, like looks like it's going to rain or looks like you're having fun.
Great phrases.
Alright, well, Alex, do you have any interesting fishing stories?
Actually, I do. One time, I went fishing with my family at a lake, and my brother caught a fish so big, we thought he was going to be pulled into the water.
Wow, that must have been quite the catch.
It was. We still talk about that day every time we go fishing. What about you, Hazel?
Well, I'm not an expert angler, but once, I caught a tiny fish and felt so proud. It wasn't much, but it was a big deal to me.
That's the joy of fishing. It's not always about the size of the catch, but the experience.
Absolutely. Listeners, do you have any fishing stories or tips? Share them with us in comment section.
And if you have any questions, Hazel and I are always here to help. Now, let's dive deeper into our discussion about fishing techniques and tips.
Great idea, Alex. One common question beginners have is about the different types of fishing rods and reels. There are many kinds, like spinning reels, bait casting reels, and fly fishing reels.
Yes, spinning reels are great for beginners because they are easy to use. Bait casting reels are more advanced and give you better control, but they take some practice to master.
Fly fishing reels are used for a special type of fishing where you use lightweight lures called flies. It's more about the technique of casting.
Speaking of techniques, let's talk about casting. Good casting can make a big difference. What are some tips you can share, Hazel?
Sure, Alex. When casting, it's important to have a smooth and controlled motion. Start with the rod tip low, bring it back over your shoulder, and then flick it forward while releasing the line. Timing is crucial.
Absolutely. And don't forget to aim where you want your bait to land. It helps to practice in an open area without water first.
Great advice. Now, let's move on to discussing different types of bait. As we mentioned earlier, there are live baits like worms and minnows, and artificial baits like lures.
Live bait is often more effective because it looks and smells natural to the fish. However, lures can be more convenient and are reusable.
Exactly. There are different types of lures, like crankbaits, spinnerbaits, and soft plastics. Each type mimics different prey and behaves differently in the water.
For example, crankbaits look like small fish and move through the water quickly, while soft plastics imitate worms or other creatures that move slowly.
That's right. It's important to match your bait with the type of fish you're trying to catch and the conditions you're fishing in.
Now, let's touch on some safety tips. Fishing can be a lot of fun, but safety should always come first. Make sure you're familiar with the area you're fishing in and check the weather conditions.
Also, always wear a life jacket if you're fishing from a boat. Even if you're a strong swimmer, accidents can happen.
And be mindful of the wildlife around you. Fishing lines can be hazardous to birds and other animals if not disposed of properly.
Absolutely. Respect the environment and clean up after yourself. This way, we can all enjoy fishing for years to come.
Now, Hazel, you mentioned earlier that you're not an expert angler. What do you find most challenging about fishing?
I think the patience required is the most challenging part for me. It's not always easy to sit and wait for a bite, but it's also part of what makes fishing so relaxing.
That's true. Patience is key. Sometimes you can go hours without catching anything, but when you do get a bite, it's very rewarding.
Exactly. It's all about enjoying the process. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes beginners make and how to avoid them.
One common mistake is not checking the local fishing regulations. Different areas have different rules about what you can catch and how many you can keep.
Yes, that's important. Also, using the wrong type of bait or tackle for the fish you're targeting can make your fishing trip less successful.
Another mistake is not being quiet enough. Fish can be easily spooked by loud noises, so it's best to keep your voice down and move slowly.
Great points, Alex. All right, let's take a break and listen to the dialogue one more time before we wrap up. This is so peaceful. I love fishing.
Me too. It's nice to get away from the city. Did you bring the bait?
Yeah, I have some worms and a few lures. Here, pass me that rod.
Sure. Let me just cast my line first. There we go. So, what's the best technique for reeling in?
Well, you want to reel in slowly. Give the fish time to bite.
Got it. Hey, look. I think I've got something.
Great. Keep the line tight and reel it in smoothly.
Wow, it's a big one. What kind of fish is it?
Looks like a bass. Nice catch, Jenny.
Thanks, Hazel. This is so exciting.
All right, we've covered a lot today. Let's do a quick review of the vocabulary and phrases we learned.
Good idea. We learned bait, reel, cast, lure, and base.
We also learned useful phrases like pass me that rod, reel it in, and looks like.
Now, let's practice using these words and phrases in different contexts. Hazel, can you give an example using the word bait?
Sure. I prefer using live bait because it attracts more fish.
Great. How about reel?
Make sure to use the reel to control the fishing line.
Perfect. Now, let's use cast in a sentence.
To catch fish, you need to cast your line far into the water.
Excellent. How about lure?
The shiny lure attracted a big fish.
Good job. Lastly, base.
We caught a huge bass at the lake yesterday.
Wonderful. Let's practice some of the phrases now. Can you use pass me that rod in a different context?
Sure. Pass me that rod so I can set up the bait.
Great. Now, use reel it in.
Once the fish bites, reel it in slowly.
Excellent. How about looks like?
Looks like we're going to have a great day of fishing.
Perfect. Now, let's discuss some tips for improving your English while enjoying hobbies like fishing.
One tip is to learn and use specific vocabulary related to your hobby. It helps you communicate better and understand others who share your interests.
Another tip is to join communities or groups where people share your hobby. You can practice speaking and listening in real-life situations.
Watching videos or reading articles about your hobby in English is also a great way to improve your language skills.
Yes, and don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. People are usually happy to share their knowledge and experiences.
Great advice, Alex.
Alright, now let's discuss some real-life applications of the phrases we've learned. Using these phrases can help you sound more natural in conversations.
Absolutely. For example, pass me that rod can be adapted to everyday situations, like pass me that pen.
And reel it in can be used in business contexts. For example, we need to reel in more clients this quarter.
Looks like is a versatile phrase. You could say, looks like it's going to be a sunny day, or looks like you're ready for your trip.
Practicing these phrases in different scenarios can help solidify your understanding and usage.
Now, let's move on to some interactive activities. If you're listening with a friend, try practicing the dialogue together. Take turns being Hazel and Jenny.
Or, write your own dialogue using the vocabulary and phrases we've learned today. This can be a fun and creative way to practice English.
Another idea is to record yourself speaking the phrases. Listen to the recordings to self-evaluate your pronunciation and fluency.
Great tips, Hazel. And remember, repetition is key. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Alright, before we finish, let's do one final review of today's vocabulary and phrases.
We've learned bait, reel, cast, lure, and base.
And our phrases, pass me that rod, reel it in, and looks like.
Remember to practice using these words and phrases in your conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel.
That's right. And don't forget to subscribe.
We hope you enjoyed today's lesson and learned something new. Until next time, keep practicing and happy fishing.
Goodbye, everyone.